Well, hello and welcome to another episode of More Perfect Marketing. It's David Baer here. And today I want to talk a little bit about I back in the late 90s. I'm trying to think of the exact year this was. I was first getting started in marketing, and I attended a seminar presented by a guy named Jay Abraham, whose name may come up from time to time on this podcast, but we don't talk about him much. We probably should talk about Jay Abraham. He's an important guy in our world. He still has a framework, a philosophy of different ways that a business can drive revenue. He specifically highlights 3 different ways that businesses have the ability to drive more revenue and grow. The first one is to increase the number of customers that are coming into the business and that the business is serving. The second is to increase the average transaction value, the amount of money that is spent on each transaction. And the third is to increase the frequency of those transactions. So if you're in a business where people are not just buying once, but again and again, or have the opportunity to, that's a great way to drive additional revenue. Now, individually, each of these can drive a lot more revenue for a business, but can you imagine when they're piled on top of each other, how exponentially you can add a lot of revenue? Well, here's the thing. Most businesses out there are not focusing enough attention and certainly not enough effort on utilizing these 3 paths. And the silly thing is they're sitting on assets that are likely allowing them to do a lot more to drive that sort of revenue. So in today's conversation, we're going to look at how a business, and we'll use retail businesses as our example, but this really can apply to most businesses, can utilize assets that they already have to drive more revenue. Helping me in this conversation today is Luke Barta, who is joining me from Iowa City, Iowa. Luke, welcome.
How we doing? Pumped to be here and chat with you for a little bit.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited. This is the type of stuff that I geek out on, and translating some of these super silly concepts that we always are talking about and thinking about in the marketing world into actual practical and actionable things for businesses. I love that.
Yeah, I honestly nerd out on just the simplicity of things. I try and take concepts that are maybe seem a little bit difficult on the surface and just boil them down to like, what is the one thing that I can implement that would actually do this?
So I teased a very simple concept, and then I suggested that there's assets that businesses have that they're not utilizing to leverage and get that additional revenue. And that's pretty much the premise of the business that you're in. You want to sort of make some connections of those dots there?
Yeah, no. So it's super fun. So I always ask this question, and it's a loaded question to everybody that I ask it. But I always say to either our clients or any business owner, anybody in the business world that I'm talking to, how many different ways do you think that there are to grow a business? And more often than not, I get the answer of, oh, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, unlimited. No, there are 3. Get new customers to shop with you or buy what you have. You get your existing to purchase from you more frequently, and you upsell them and get them to buy more when they come. That translates to any business on planet Earth. It doesn't matter if you're a construction company, a financial advisor, a digital advertising firm such as we are, a retail store, it doesn't matter. And when you really boil it down to those 3 things, then you can start to pick apart, how are we going to accomplish those 3 things? And in the retail world, one of the best ways that we have found to help our clients, obviously we can't help them sell more when we get people into their store, but I can help with the first 2. Let's start with the existing customers, because I nerd out on this, and this is one of our focal points with our clients. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day by a guy named Alex Harmozy, and he talked about how insane would it be if every customer that has ever shopped with you or every client you've ever had was still with you to this day? What would that mean to your business? It would be absolutely insane. Your revenue would be tenfold what it is today if you've been around for any number of years. And most retail stores, to use that as an example, because that's who we work with, have, when you walk into a retail store, what do they ask you at the checkout? Can we have your name, your email, your phone number, your zip code, these data points that they use to either look you up or whatever it may be. And outside of their people, their building, and the product that they carry, their data is the most powerful asset that they have. And most people don't realize that you can leverage it in the marketing process to stay in front of people. And anymore, it's getting harder and harder to get in front of the right people. But when you own the data of your existing customers, in our case, we do social media advertising on Facebook, Instagram, and then we do email and text. But if I can pull all of that customer data that you've captured over every year you've been in business and just simply stay in front of those people on a consistent basis, it's going to amount to tons and tons of dormant customers to just simply remember who you are and come back in your door. I think that's the biggest downfall of a lot of businesses in general, is they're so hell bent on new customers, new customers, new customers, new customers. Well, only about 20% of your existing customers even shop with you 5 times or more in their lifetime. So you are losing out on however much revenue just getting those people that have already shopped with you to come back in. And not only that, it's cheaper to bring an existing customer back into your store or business than it is to go acquire a new customer. They already know who you are. They already know the experience that they're going to get when they buy what you have. They're familiar with your products. It's low-hanging fruit that oftentimes people just don't want to focus on. And so that's what we've made a huge point on, even in our sales approach, is what would it mean to your business is if 10% of your customers came in just one additional time this year? What would that mean to your top line? Because it's insane. It's insane the revenue that you can drive just bringing dormant customers back, because the consumer's mind is so short term that if you're not in front of them on a regular basis, they're just going to forget about you.
There is so much there, and the fact that you've come up with a formula to be able to support the types of businesses that you work with, and obviously it's not a cut and paste formula, but that there's a framework to what you guys are doing, to be able to extend that relationship with a customer, bring them back in, right? And maybe even multiply the customers. Who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with the approach and the technology behind the approach that you've put together. So let's talk a little bit about, you are specifically leveraging technology. You talked about the platforms where you're communicating with existing customers, right? And all of those are technologically based, though this can absolutely work in the offline world. It can work in direct mail. It can work in, event-based follow-up. There's all kinds of other things that we can do. But if you look at the framework that Luke, you're about to explain, I think there's a lot of different types of applications for this in pretty much any type of business.
Yeah, no, I mean, there really is. And just to use an example outside of retail, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a financial advisor the other day, and he has a list of prospects that he either bought or acquired in some way. And his action steps before he was chatting with me was just smile and dial, go call every single one of them. And although that is effective, we leverage cold calling in our business from a sales perspective. I think it's a lost art these days that a lot of people are trying to shy away from. But what you could do with that same data, let's say he has 10,000 people on his list and he can make an average of 100 calls a week. You're going to get through that eventually, but it's going to take a while.
Yep.
And a lot of those calls are going to be wasted. So something that you could do with any customer data, as long as you have a name, email, or a name and a phone number, or an email and a phone number, you can take that list, upload it into Facebook as an audience, and you can show ads in front of that group of people for an average cost of about $10 to $20 per 1,000 people that you're showing it to. And the cool part about doing that with existing customers, I was just talking about prospecting for like a financial services business, but in a retail store, to come back to what I know and do every day, is it doesn't matter who you're showing an ad to, the cost stays the same to get in front of that number of eyes.
Mhm.
So if you're showing it to existing customers versus new customers, and we do both, but if it is way cheaper to acquire an existing customer because it doesn't take as many times of them seeing you to come back in, but it costs the same to show an ad to 1,000 existing customers and 1,000 brand new customers, well, the bang for your buck is just there overnight. And then the cool part about social media too is when you have that data set of your existing customer base in whatever business that you're in, you can create an audience called a lookalike audience that mimics that audience of your existing customers in demographics, in their likes, in hundreds of different data points, but they're brand new people. And you can exclude your existing customer audience that you uploaded from seeing that. So then you have a two-tiered approach. You're going after existing and you're going after new. And if you could find a way to track all of that on the back end, which we've created a technology in-house called Omni Lightning that does all of this. But if you can track all that on the back end by re-uploading customer lists manually, or if you create a technology like we have, however you do it, because you're excluding your existing customers from seeing the lookalike audience ads, you can then tell exactly how many existing customers came back in and exactly how many new customers came into your business. And it just allows you to kind of peel back the curtain and show ads to people based on the results that you're getting. And it allows you to A/B test and just make everything more effective. Because the biggest problem with social media advertising since it's been a thing is it really working? How do you track it? But using the data, whether it's manually uploading it or having a technology to do it, you can peel back that curtain and get those tangible results on the back end.
So you were just giving an example of the lookalike audience to bring new cold people, into a business for the first time versus the messaging that you're going to have for an existing relationship with somebody who's already spent money with your business. And I wonder if you can talk about the type of messaging that each of those two audiences might see. I mean, there's a obviously there's the difference in acknowledging the relationship. We don't know you, you don't know us, so here's a reason for you to engage with us, versus, hey, we want to acknowledge that you've been in our store, you've been on our site, we know who you are, and we have something special for you. Is that something that your data of the campaigns that you run suggests a benefit to playing around with the type of messaging for each of those audiences?
The type of messaging we kind of play around with a little bit, but what we do more specifically is, because you have that data set with the purchase history in a retail store, we just show ads in front of people that are extremely relevant to what they've bought in the past. So we work with shoe stores. Let me take Birkenstock as an example. Everybody knows the company and the brand Birkenstock. If I'm running a Birkenstock campaign at retailer ABC, I'm going to extract everybody who's ever purchased Birkenstock from them in the past, and that's my audience. That's who I'm going to show the ads to. Or any sandal. We could pull Birkenstock, Teva, all the sandal brands and then show them Birkenstock ads. So it just makes it more relevant to the consumer.
Yeah.
The messaging, we've A/B tested it. And quite honestly, if you're getting that targeted, it really doesn't seem to move the needle much. But the specificity of showing them things that they've bought in the past, but maybe the new model to drive them back into the store, that has worked wonders because I don't know about you, but I don't mind seeing ads if it's something that I'm interested in. What I don't like is when I see an ad for, like one time, my sister and I were talking about some dress that she was going to wear to prom years ago. And the next day I saw an ad for that dress. I'm not the relevant consumer to be showing that ad to. Now, if she got the ad, it would be relevant. Same with the customers at a store. Even all of your customers at the same store, you sell different product. I always explain it as if you're Dick's Sporting Goods and you're advertising Nike products, well, you're not going to show your Adidas customers Nike products and vice versa because it wouldn't be relevant to that consumer. So that more so than the messaging we found is kind of the driver for everything. We've played around a lot with the messagings, like we miss you, come back in type of stuff versus just come check out this brand shoe. We really haven't seen a huge difference, but what you're showing them seems to be a lot more important.
And how about the difference between an existing and a cold audience?
Cold audience, we do the same thing, but because of the way we use data, if I have that audience of Birkenstock customers and I mimic it, then it's going to be relevant to them more than likely. It's not perfect, obviously, but it is a more targeted approach. I'm not showing an ad for Birkenstock to everybody in my area. If I live in a town of 100,000 and I have 5,000 Birkenstock customers in my audience, I might only be showing an ad for new customers to 20,000 people. But there are those 20,000 people out of the 100,000 that are most apt to want what I'm pushing at the given time. So, I mean, we really do. We do a lot of unorthodox things from an advertising perspective. We show product-centric ads that are extremely basic. They have clean design around them, but the product is the main focus of the ad. The lifestyle images that a lot of people push with what we do, we found they don't work as well. We segment our audiences in a little bit of a different way, but because we can track everything on the back end, we're splitting them up completely, existing, new, men, women, retargeting. We segment them in so many different ways. And my Facebook rep always has his head spinning when he looks at all of our audiences, but they're effective and we can track the offline results from them. I think our average return on ad spend right now from an offline perspective across all of our clients is sitting at about a 27.2x.
That's a pretty impressive number, particularly given the world that you're in, which is retail, right? Which is margins are not great. So to see that you're seeing those sorts of returns is a commendable. What I was looking for from you, and you gave me a really interesting answer here, and this just goes to show you, like, even marketers are almost always going to get it wrong in terms of what we think is going to be the winner, right? If we had to bet this type of copy, this type of messaging is going to be the successful thing, and it sounds like you've tested a bunch of things. I would not have intuitively gone to a product-focused, product-centric ad. Now, what I didn't hear from you, and I'm curious to know, is there a difference in the offer? For example, you mentioned Alex Hormozy, who's in our circles become quite well known for a book he released about offers and the structure of offers, and just saying to a brand new person, hey, you don't know us, and so here's a special deal for you because you're a first timer. Is that something that's a difference, or have you tested that and it doesn't matter?
I love that you brought that up because I didn't forget about it. I just was already a little long-winded and didn't want to add it in, but I wanted to find a way to touch on it at some point. Yes, on the new customer creative that we put, we do offer a first time discount, whether it's 10% off, a free pair of socks, whatever the client is comfortable with. And we have found that to be effective. Any sort of sale or discount on social media just absolutely crushes it. I mean, we just came out of the Black Friday time and we ran Black Friday campaigns for most, if not all, of our customers. And they perform like crazy, especially existing customers, because
Mhm.
if they already know and love you and you're going to give them a discount, they're going to come back in. But no, we have A/B tested it quite a bit, and there isn't as much of a difference as I would have thought there is, but it's enough to keep doing it. If a client tells me they don't want to do it, I'm never hell bent on telling them you need to do this. But it is a 10 to 15% swing. So it's substantial at scale.
Yeah.
Um, and we played around with the offers a little bit, and it seems like the dollar off amount does better in conversions than the percentage off amount, which actually ends up saving our clients money. Because
Hmm.
if you do a 10% off purchase of $100 or more, well, if they buy a $200 product, you're getting $20 off. But if I say $10 off a purchase of $100 or more, and they buy $200, they still
Yep.
get that $10 off, yet it converts at a higher rate. And I guess, in my opinion, the reason is because they know exactly what they're going to get rather than 10%. Although it's pretty straightforward, it is a little bit more vague because it can change. When you say $10 off, they know exactly what they're going to get when they walk in the door.
Right.
That's
Right.
just my opinion on it. It has performed a lot better than the percentage, but that would be, I assume, why, similar to why you'd put something on sale for $299.99 rather than 300, because it just looks a little better.
You raise an interesting point about the difference in the dollar amount versus the percent off, but I heard a moment ago you also mentioned throwing something in for free, right? So a free pair of socks with the purchase of the shoes. And obviously there's a lot of data to unpack here to figure out where the best ROI is. I'm going to guess that you have better sales numbers when you're offering a discount versus a premium or an incentive, and yet there's larger question of positioning of the business about do we want to be the low price leader or the cheap offer versus being the premium one.
And that is exactly why we started offering the free socks with a pair of shoes or free foot scan or whatever they want as a service more so than a discount, because a lot of our clients are discount averse.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to offer discounts. They want to be that premium product. And I think that's fine. Where I kind of consult them on it, either on the SMS marketing, which is massive right now. I mean, it's blown my mind, the results that we've gotten on that side, or the social media. On the social media side, we're excluding everybody that's already a customer in their point of sale system from seeing that discount. So it's an incentive to get new people to come in, which, whether you want to do it or not, if it gets new people to come in at a higher rate, and then on the flip side, you can keep them in the store more frequently with ads targeted at them after they buy, then to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't own a retail store, but I talk to a lot of them on a daily basis. And then on the SMS side too, we don't offer discounts. We don't offer discounts. We don't offer discounts. And how I combat that usually with our customers is, okay, you probably have 100,000 customers that have ever shopped with you. We have a list of 1,000 people that have consented to let us text them. You're not giving a discount to everybody. You're only giving a discount to those people who have allowed you to message them. And what we've found is 3 to 5% roughly come in when they get a discount over text consistently, month after month. So that revenue that you maybe wouldn't have gotten, but you got because you sent a text. Yeah, you're giving a discount, but it's top line growth. So it's so worth it in the long run. And those are your diehard customers anyway, most likely, that have said, yes, we want you to text us. So not only are you scratching their backs by giving them a discount, they feel a part of a VIP program. They feel like you're engaging with them more often, and they're going to come back more frequently. Discounts from a marketing perspective are very powerful if you leverage them in the right way. And you can still be positioned as a premium store or a premium brand. You just have to be selective with how you discount things.
Yeah, I love the way that you've positioned that with the exclusivity of the people who are just on the SMS list. It reminds me of, years ago when Bill Glazer, who was Dan Kennedy's business partner during the GKIC era, he used to own a menswear store, and he did just that. There were no public sales, but if you were on the list and you were a consumer who hadn't been in a while, then you would get an offer with a discount. You would get a private sale offer. And so you're really, you're doing the modern era version of that.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, the business world and the scope of business, whether it's retail, whether it's a service-based business, it has changed, especially right now today, with us coming on to what looks like is going to be a recession. People are going to be very selective at where they spend their dollars, and they're looking for more than just a product or a service. They're looking to be a part of something. They want a little bit more. They want inclusivity, either working with a service-based business, going into a retail store, working with an advisor. It doesn't matter. They want a little bit more, and they're willing to spend their dollars with you if you do give them a little bit more, whether it's a VIP club that they can feel included in. And what we do with a lot of our clients is when they have new shipments, we'll send out a text and say, hey, for our VIP members, we're going to close down the store an hour early, and we're going to pull out all the new product we got for the spring, and you guys get first dibs on it. That feels so good to a customer of your store because they feel included. They're much more apt to spend their dollars with you because you made them feel like they're a part of a club than the guy down the street who doesn't do any of this and just wants to sell them his product. Consumers want more and more and more every day, and the customer and client experience is becoming far more important than it was even 5-10 years ago. And it's happening every day right in front of our eyes.
It's very much like the identification, issue that I think doesn't exist anymore. But when General Motors had Saturn cars, right? It was the no haggle car, and you felt like, very comfortable. Apple products are classically known for the identification, and an association or self-identification as being a customer of a particular retailer is self-identification. There's a tailor in Great Britain called Charles Tyrwhitt. High end, they have a sort of front end offer of men's shirts for 3 for $99 or 3 for $129, whatever you happen to encounter. And the identification is, well, this is a German street fine tailor that I can buy their product from. The identification of, well, that's not a shirt that I picked up at Target. That's a shirt that came from a high class retailer overseas, and now you think, okay, I want more of that. And those guys happen to be masters of the type of follow up that you're talking about for past buyers. Which, by the way, Luke, if you don't know them, brilliant case study for you and your team. And for listeners, go and check out Charles Tyrwhitt, because you'll see the type of marketing that Luke is describing here in action. It's great.
Yeah, no, I definitely will check them out. I'm not familiar, but if they're doing what I just described, then they must be pretty successful at what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to, before we wrap up, have you talk a little bit about the shift in where data lives and the sort of idea behind the way that you folks at Omni Digital have structured the work that you do around the first party data, which is basically what we've been talking about this whole time, and why that's so incredibly important going forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everybody has seen this shift of data privacy in the last probably 10 years, more so, even heavier in the last 5. But it used to be when you ran a Facebook ad and you were running it to an e-com store, I could install a code snippet on that website and I could track somebody all the way from the Facebook ad to the website to what products they visited to them purchasing. And it was very transparent the whole way around. Now, with the new iOS regulations and the new Google stuff, when you go to a website now, it asks you if you want to be tracked and you can click no. And far and wide, people are clicking no. It is getting harder and harder and harder every single day to utilize third party data in any process, advertising included in that. And, we kind of saw that unfolding a little bit years ago. Well, I say years ago, 3 years ago was kind of the precipice of when this was starting to happen more intensely. And we got around that. And people ask me that either own agencies or have tried marketing in the past of like, how did you guys get around this? We're struggling with it, whatever. And it's, if you own the data, it can't happen. You just have the cheat code.
Yeah.
And that's why first party data is becoming more and more and more important each and every day, is because it's becoming the only way to really target people in an effective manner and to track things on the back end to see the results. You can't track things on third party data anymore because it's just not accurate. People are opting out of it, which I love that is the case personally, because I don't want people to know what I'm doing and track me the whole way around while I'm on the internet, going to whatever website, looking at 10 different products, shopping around, adding one to my cart, and then get targeted with the other 9.
Yeah.
That's just creepy. But when you can use the first party data that you own and leverage that to position yourself as more targeted in your advertising, it just opens up a whole new world. And a lot of the people that we talk to, at least in the shoe retail space, they just don't even know this stuff is possible. And one of our biggest things at Omni is just challenging people to think differently about their data and about their marketing and about their business in general. But if you don't know this is possible and then you go try it and you turn it on and you've never done it before, oh, the results are insane.
Well, I think the big lesson from all of this is, first, if you aren't collecting data on your customers, start yesterday.
Start 5 years ago.
Yes. And if you are, and particularly if you're in the retail space and you're not doing anything or doing the right things or doing the things we've been talking about, then you owe it to yourself to get in touch with Luke and the folks over at Omni Digital Group. Where can folks find out more about you?
Yeah, we have a website, omnidigitalgroup.com, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Luke Barta is my LinkedIn. And anybody listening that's just interested in what I've been talking about today, regardless of if you're a retail store or you own a business or you have an agency that you work for or own, I just want to help people win, whether it's our clients, whether it's people that don't work with me. I'm more than happy to take a little time out of my day to educate people on what's possible, because if it helps businesses grow, that's the game that I'm in. I always tell our shoe retail prospective clients, I don't care if you work with me officially or not. I want to help you win. Use me as a resource. And I mean that so genuinely, because a rising tide raises all
Yep.
ships. And if you didn't know this was possible and today a little light bulb went off on your head, I can point you in the right direction to some resources to just dive into how to do some of this stuff manually. We've built a technology that does it automatically, which is more efficient and more effective, but doing it manually works if you go from not doing something like this to doing it. And it's possible, and it's the way that needs to be done. Retail businesses are going to go away if they don't start leveraging their data, because the brands that they sell are doing it every single day and they're plucking customers from them left and right. So I'm super passionate about helping businesses win in general, but especially obviously retailers, given the realm that I'm in.
Well, that's beautiful, and I'm so glad that you're available as a resource and a guide for folks out there. If they want to find you, it's omnidigitalgroup.com. We'll also leave your LinkedIn profile link in the show notes as well. Luke, Barta, thank you so much for joining me. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed. Folks, you have been listening to More Perfect Marketing. If you know somebody who you think could also benefit from listening to the conversation you just heard, please, by all means, share it. In the meantime, my name is David Baer, and we'll see you back here again real soon. Take care.